interested in this panel, and I work on the intersection of nutrition, health, and climate change. So, and I think when we talk about nutrition or food systems, it's quite intrinsic to any of the sustainable development goals, or when we are talking about how we are going to be achieving the 2030 agenda. And specifically, if you look at food systems, it's very holistic. I mean, even if you look at the definition of food system, which says it brings in all elements, like, it brings in the environment, it brings in the people, it brings in input, the processes, the infrastructure, institutions, everything. So what we need to do is to have a holistic approach, and I think a food system approach is very holistic when we are looking at how to empower the economy, or to how to achieve sustainable development. So I think the way we structure or frame the food system approach, that's more important. For example, like it impacts both food safety, and food safety vice versa impact the food system. So I think it's important to look at what are the barriers and what are the factors which could actually facilitate for us to be able to fulfill the approach through a food system approach, and to bring in some development or sustainable development. I think I'll stop at that and we can continue.
Perfect. So we don't have to go. Amazing. Thank you. Um, Great. Mr. Anand, would you like to go next?
Friends, I'm working in RIS, and I was leading on SDGs in the government's. If I have a look from the angle of life and how it intersects with the food system, agri-food systems. The first thing which we all know, we are aware that world's population is moving towards, say, earlier we were talking in terms of 11 billion, now it's say 10.5 billion. Incomes are, per capita incomes are rising. Today we have 46 countries who are in need of external aid for food. Luckily, even during the COVID time, many countries could give food to other countries. If I look at, say, broadly at the solutions, let me first start with, say, water. We talk in terms of saving resources and all that. Now, water is one such resource. The overall availability over the planet does not diminish. To be very frank, it does not diminish. It's a kind of water which may diminish, but overall, in totality, so if as human beings we are not even able to have proper water for irrigation or drinking or for animals, I think that's a much bigger figure. And there are many technologies which have come today, even extracting water from the sea. And Saudi Arabia we have seen T20 papers, real orbital papers. So that is one area. I think second area is soil. India has done wonders on soil health cards. We have, say, 210 plus million soil health cards. So that helps in
तो अभी
avoiding
देखेंगे बाद में
चलो होगी, चलो कैमरे की होगी।
कैमरे पे कर दिया सर
millets as a superfood. We have seen India presidents.
भैया कि यहाँ से सारे आ जाए यहाँ से लेकर
So we have a lot of scope, especially if we can process properly, if we can preserve properly. I recall poor people living in the western desert areas of Rajasthan. They know how to preserve, say, millets for over 2 years. And today when we come and we talk in urban parlance, people say, no, its shelf life is less, it's 6 months or so. And those people are doing it without any external technologies. So I think we need to go back to the indigenous people also when we talk in terms of life. We want to transform or we want to make a change. All changes are not transformation. We should emphasize on such changes which are transformation, which add value to the living. Lastly, I would like to add that when we give, say, supply food for any country which is deficit, I think honor and dignity of that country is of paramount importance. I would not name a country. We gave a lot of food grains during COVID time. But we had in one of our papers suggested credit points. A country comes and says, I am short of, say, wheat, but I have a lot of, say, dry fruits. And this much I am likely to give to the globe as, say, consumer surplus, or it's beyond subsistence level. So that adds dignity. Let the transactions be on commercial rates. but let some dignity be added to the overall food trade across the globe. Thank you very much.
There you go. Super. Thank you so much.
That is utilization of resources.
Dr. Pawan, would you like to go next?
Hello, good morning everyone. I'm Pawan Agrawal, a former civil servant. I used to be country's food regulator, food safety regulator for 4 years, and currently I had an organization called Food Future Foundation, which is all about bringing in people-centric food system change in food systems in India. And as Shobha pointed out, that it's a very complex system. We have many moving parts. First and foremost, we begin by how do we frame the food system transformation puzzle, and that is how it is solved through a butterfly, and a food system 10-gram butterfly. This is what yeah. So now coming to specifics in terms of the challenges of our food systems are perhaps very large, very complex, and in some sense existential, because food is so important to all of us, and we are in fact ignoring it, and that is precisely why the United Nations convened a UN Food System Summit in 2021, and I was in the global leadership team in that summit, and part of deliberations since then. Framing the solution framework is the first important part to address challenges of food systems. I could see in this action lab relating to sustainable food systems, 3 potential topics that are referred to are climate resilient agriculture, local food systems, strengthening agriculture supply chains. All of these subtopics in some sense are related to the supply side of the equation. And if we begin framing debate on food system change with supply side in mind, and I have often been part of those discussions, they say that there is no market for what we produce. And unless there is market for what production systems are producing, what local farmers are producing, that cannot be sustainable at all. And that is where the question of consumption patterns come in. Unfortunately, the problem is that our food systems are today providing much unhealthier diets than before, ever before. If many of you have seen the report of Food and Agriculture Organization this year, 2023, it is focused on true value of food or hidden cost of food. And they say that 70% of the cost of food is not the market value of food, it is the hidden value of food, and that is largely coming from the unhealthy dietary pattern, the loss of productive work of these workforce, their environmental costs also. So if we start factoring in the true value of food rather than merely economic value of food into our equations for food system change, I think we will reach the right solution. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Kalpana. Thank you. Please go ahead.
So I'm Kalpana Shastri, and it's a good omen for me because I was part of the Task Force 6, and what we are seeing today is what we had hoped in our statement, in the TF6 statement. So it's a pleasure that at least something is now getting grounded, and as we move towards Brazil, there's something going to happen. At least the happening is now started to happen. I look at food systems, I would redefine it as agri food production systems also. See, food process is the supply side and later, but the demand also comes out from the production side. So yes, the production side models were the Green Revolution days. But I think we have to go beyond that, learning the lessons which we have done. So we should not lose the focus of production also. Now, how do we inculcate? I think ultimate aim is to nourish people and planet. If I were to just quote FAO, I sincerely believe in that. This sector is one which needs a lot of these resources, which life and environment is providing us, uses, abuses, and also there are instances where there is a sustainable use model which is emerging. So it's a clash of lot of things we need to bring in. How do we do that? I think the aim should be to have either neutral or a positive action. I'm not saying the negative part, but if this, through this action lab, if we have an objective of giving solutions which will at least be neutral or of course enhance and bring positivism, I'm happy. And what do we need for that? I think there are three parameters: the green growth, the economical growth, and the environmental growth. If these three aspects are addressed, I think we would be doing this. To do that, I have a 5-point formula, and I leave it at, if you're going to give me another chance, how do we, the strategy part of it. But what I'm trying to raise is, this action lab would need, it encompasses climate. Good, we are talking about resilient systems, we are not talking about change, we are past that change. And what are those answers? The answers are the stakeholders who are multi-layered, it's a multi-layered, multiple stakeholders. So I work with grassroots innovators who are actually giving solutions because they are facing that challenge at ground level. I also work with digital or agri-tech startups who come with some solution because they've hit upon a technology which gives them the solution. So my way of looking is how do I get that balance between them.
Thank you so much. Clap, clap, clap for our speakers. Thank you. Right. So with that food for thought, the idea now, the mission that you got is to, please don't be scared. People around you are nice. Go gather in trios. So find 2 more people around you. And I'm going to give you 15 minutes, more or less, for you to dive into the 2 questions that I have for you. One is, here, how is the LiFE economy providing innovative solutions? You only need 1 paper per trio. That's why there's not a lot of papers around, so it's 1 per trio. So, how is the LiFE economy providing solutions for us to create more sustainable food systems? What are these examples? So Dr. Kalpana here, she has a lot of examples in her mind.
Yeah.
I know that. Right. So what other examples we can think about?
Excuse me, Professor Malhotra, is on the speakers. You are not speaking.
Sorry, sir?
It's not spoken.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
No problem.
We haven't met, have we?
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
He's the chairman of the MP Foods Commission.
Right. Please do. We could not continue without you.
How much time do I have?
3 minutes.
Well, thank you. I would like to concentrate. I'm V.K. Malhotra. Presently, I'm heading MP State Government Food Commission, and I would like to concentrate on local food systems. So there is an issue of sustainable food system, which is a system that delivers food security and nutrition for all in such a way that economic, social, and environmental basis they are achieved. And as far as economic objective is concerned, that it should remain economically sustainable, it remains profitable, it has broad-based benefits for the society, and it has a positive or no negative impact on the natural environment. So that is the background. There are few things and few researches also that I have tried to notice, especially in the aftermath of COVID-19. US Department of Agriculture, they also got interested in knowing what exactly has happened and how it has happened in respect of the local food systems. There were few assumptions, for example, that consumers' access to healthy food they did work on the willingness to pay a higher price for the local food systems. And local food system provide farmers with a high sense of social recognition, and it benefits them economically also. Moreover, looking at the community as a whole, local food system would foster social ties and boost local economy. And they are said to be beneficial for environment also. In most of the cases, it came true in fact. In the morning we were discussing how should GDP be viewed, and it is in this respect when people are ready to pay slightly more. That adds to the GDP dimension of the things also. And many countries right now across the world, they have taken few initiatives. For example, in US, they have Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food initiative. In Canada also, local food infrastructure fund they are called. The European Commission also have farm to fork strategy. So these are some of the initiatives also. It's all happening, especially when, I mean, just to keep in mind this fact that despite the fact the world on per capita basis has got more food available now, and despite the fact we have against a target of 2,500 kilocalories, 3,000 kilocalories available for the on per capita basis, still 768 million people worldwide do not have enough food to meet their daily energy needs. Around 2 million people experience some form of food insecurity, and 2.3 billion people are either overweight or obese also at the same time. So looking at all these things, I'll just take a minute more and then stop. In India's case also, some initiatives have already been taken. On two occasions, one Matera Declaration 2021 and G20, they have also discussed this issue at length. And new idea of true value accounting is one thing which should be definitely taken forward. Another interesting thing could be that the whole people in the morning have already, or yesterday also, they spoke about multidimensional, multi-developmental banks also, how they should be taking these issues forward. There are few initiatives which have been taken by the private parties. Loka War is an example in this light. From Germany also we have Welthunger as an example. Since we are left with very little time, I think we can discuss all these issues in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right. You deserve it. Okay, so again, please find other two people around you. I want to see everybody in trios. Please, sir, come closer. Don't be so. We have 3 here, 3 there. If somebody needs to go in 4, it's fine, but let's try to keep to 3 because then conversations are more intimate and you have more chance We have a space in Shoba's group if anyone needs. There are 3 here. Here, Shoba. You have 3.
So you're calling me there, I'm calling you here.
There are 3 already.
We're already 3.
Yes, that's great. So 3. Okay. Right. So please, let's focus on examples of solutions of the life economy. What are Thank you. So, What are innovative solutions that the life economy can provide? We are talking about new business models, new paradigms that we can look at, like concrete examples that you know. If you don't know concrete examples, think about other ideas that you would like to see happening. New ways of doing business that help us drive sustainable food systems. And when you are discussing this, think about how were those ideas enabled? What happens that help us create more of those? And what is still keeping those from flourishing even further? Okay? So I will ask you to put the notes, please, in the papers, because I'm going to use this afterwards. I'm going to give you 15 minutes.
Or maybe a paper, so that I can put in the ideas and then I can. Thank you, thank you.
But there is a
लगा तो सकते हैं पेड़ जब कंजंक्टिव डिन्यूट्रिशन हो रही है पेड़ लगा ये आइडिया होते हैं आप क्या है पूरे देश की समस्या है तीन what barriers barrier में बता रहा हूँ जैसे सबसे हवा में से पानी खींच उसको एरिया में हवा में से पानी पेड़ के पानी पानी यानी एक तरह से ज़्यादा महंगा भी नहीं है 5-6 हज़ार जैसे एयर कंडीशनर है तो पानी निकलता है
What would be
सब जगह अवेलेबल नहीं है, लेकिन कोस्टल एरिया में जहाँ हवा की काफी कमी है वहाँ से पानी की सुविधा निकालना है। तो मैंने देखा भी कई बार मैं यहाँ दिल्ली से पहाड़ है ना नंगे पड़े हैं, लेकिन पूना भी अगर जाओ तो बहुत पेड़ भी है और कुछ इलाका काफी बड़ा है और पहाड़ बहुत जल्दी बारिश होती है। तो इसका मतलब पेड़ लगाने से वहाँ बारिश
polarization of
सस्टेनेबल फूड सिस्टम बनाने हैं हमारे हरियाणा में 3 डिपार्टमेंट बने हुए हैं, जैसे गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट है, हॉर्टिकल्चर, तीनों का संबंध पेड़ पौधों से लेकिन ये तीनों की चीजें फंक्शन अवेलेबल है, कोई ना कोई एजेंसी ऐसी होनी चाहिए तीनों को कंबाइन
And in all countries basically, India, Bangladesh, and it is relevant quality control institutions. They are basically led by the North. So what India has is system of quality control within the 12 people. And action basically is to require that investment into the system. For example, this and if you see the data from 2019, we only received less than scenario. Food security is basically in future for the life economy, it is relevant as we should try to protect the fishery sector and how to basically stop the
Hello, hello. 5 more minutes. So please make sure you put those ideas in the papers, okay?
In one line, we should try to focus on developing innovative financial financial also, because the farmers, the natural, the innovative
market for good and desire aggressively market
एक ग्रुप डिस्कशन चल रहा है इसमें टीम बैठे शो कर नहीं ये टीम का किसी का फेस आएगा किसी का नहीं आएगा ये टीम कौन सा ग्रुप ये तीनों का आना चाहिए तीनों का आना चाहिए ये जो उनकी बैठी है इसका फेस नहीं आएगा तो शोल्डर शूट करके इस ग्रुप को अलग अलग करें इनका फेस नहीं आएगा कुछ अगर ग्रुप का फोटो तो नहीं फोटो को भी कर ये पूरे ग्रुप का शुरू से
to take that example. For tuna powder, I never had the farmers as my supply.
Reducing dependency on groundwater uses.
How to flow a plate? Yes, now
Plate to pull out.
Wood processing भी आ गया, diversification भी आ गया, access to market भी आ गया, reducing dependency on groundwater uses.
जैसे कोल्ड स्टोरेज
We have one more slogan, zero infrastructure. You can run a Zero emission farming is sustainable infrastructure.
हाँ
Traditional material knowledge, that is local wisdom should be there.
स्किल की बात होती है हमेशा बड़ा बात है आई बिलोंग टू द फील्ड ऑफ एनवायरमेंटल साइंस फूड एंड एनवायरमेंटल
सब्सिडी से
इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में हमारा कुछ नहीं
Okay, great. I love the fact that you're loving to discuss, you're loving to work together. That's exactly what we need. Less talking, more action, right? So, now I would like to invite you, please choose one person from your group that could share key points, succinct, because we don't have a lot of time, unfortunately. But we can do what we call popcorn style. And popcorn, it just pops in different places. So, you pop here, you pop there. Just bring me one example of a solution. If you have managed to brainstorm a lot of solutions, give me one example and one barrier and one enabler. So it's one solution, one enabler, one barrier and one enabler. Okay? Shobha, would you like to start? And I would ask, please, let's keep the focus on the person that's talking. Because this is about us also learning from each other and getting this collective knowledge. It's okay if you didn't finish writing, it's fine. I'm not a teacher in the classroom. It's okay. You're not going to be graded.
We are solving the food problem of the entire animal's consciousness now. She'll make a sense.
There you go.
No, we had come out with various innovative solutions, but I think we were talking about technology and AI in the morning, so maybe I'll just pick that one up. Looking at precision agriculture or technology integrated agriculture using data analytics, I think that's something which could be an innovative solution, not only in terms of looking across food systems, across the value chain, across the supply chain, but also looking at the environmental changes that are happening. I think that will be more sustainable and resilient. So that could be one innovative solution which we want to look at through the food system approach.
One enabler, one barrier. What's the barrier to that solution?
Economic challenge is, I think, one barrier which is across any of the implementable policies. So and also technology gap. So I think we need to strengthen that.
Right.
And how it could be addressed? It has to be an inclusive approach.
Right.
and more evidence-based policy, so that we know exactly what we need to do and what we need to work
Okay.
on. There are many others, but then we'll
Thank
share
you.
that with you.
Thank you. We're gonna have everything in the harvesting, so everybody can access what everybody wrote, what everybody discussed. You can also access in detail afterwards. As my greatest colleague over there is taking notes of everything. Right. Who else would like to go next?
Yes.
Please. Yeah, just turn it.
There are a couple of points which I would like to emphasize on. One is that there is a need to strengthen the food processing units. That is one area where even the agriculture infrastructure and the food processing units needs to be taken care of. If you look at the performance of agriculture of various states, you'll find that these are the two areas where they have suffered a lot. So I think there are strong need to put efforts on processing units and development of infrastructure. Another point which the farmers normally face is the access to the market. You know, whatever they produce, but when they go to the market at times does not provide them the kind of pricing they desire. Even access of market is one area where some efforts needs to be taken care of. Diversification of crop is one thing. You know, some crops require more water, some crops require lesser water. So the farmers need to be taught about that what kind of crop they should cultivate, so that they use less water, and accordingly they can decide. Also, not only in terms of water, but there are other factors also which also can promote diversification of crops. So I think this is another area where the farmers need to be taken care of. Even dependency on groundwater. We have seen that for irrigation purpose, they are digging underground water and they have gone down 500 feet, 600 feet. So that is something not good as far as sustainability is concerned. So I think dependency on groundwater is very serious matter. And
how can we address this?
By rainwater harvesting is one area. That is one.
Okay. Thank you. Can I go?
Upgradation and another point is reallocation of incentive structure to make this system, whole system, unstable to unsustainable to sustainable system. So these are some points and suggestions which need to be taken care of.
Thank you. Who else would like to share?
Yes.
Please, the lady over there.
Thank you. What we discussed was one of the innovative solution that specifically that we have focused in India is the use of natural farming in Andhra Pradesh, which has been very fruitful. And what are the challenges or the barriers that we can see is the cost of natural farming tends to be higher than the traditional farming, in short term specifically. So what are we thinking of as barriers that can be addressed? Of the introduction of sustainable investment, particularly for the short term for the farmers, so that they have that credibility as in the trust in this particular format of farming, and they can be used in the future. Second thing which we also discussed was the Kisan Se Farmer Produce Organization, which helps in FPO branding for the minimally processed food. So the problem that they are facing is the credit system, specifically the market linkages for the promotion system that is which they are facing, and the correct marketing for good food, basically the health related issues that are already there in the food systems, that would provide a credibility in the while we are focusing on the market linkages in the promotion system. This is what we discussed.
Thank you. Please.
Our group first covered incentives. So how can incentives be used to produce organic food? Like we took the example of Punjab, where the reduction of MSP on wheat and rice could maybe benefit to grow other crops. So here it was discussed that these subsidies are really promoting only the production of wheat and rice in a massive way. So there could be something done by revisiting agricultural subsidies and their input on the environment. That was one. Then we also discussed, again picking up from the morning, the importance of human-centered design. How do we take in the perspective of those who are actually involved in food production? So what approaches are there? Co-creation for innovations, or there are approaches like positive deviance, where you're really taking up the knowledge and wisdom from the people who are there in their context and know best. Then we also covered as a third point the discussion on how can gender transformative approaches come in, because we know from studies that women would invest their income in the family health and well-being. So how can women be promoted as nutri-agripreneurs to bring that change that we are looking for? And that's from our group, the solutions.
Center of Excellence.
And the Center for Excellence, exactly, that could be created to develop the technologies, for example, to use the stubble in a commercial sense. Maybe even startups can be linked to that to find solutions instead of stubble burning that happens in Punjab. What could be other technologies that can maybe prevent that?
Thank you. Go, Dr. Kopan. See, she's like, I need to talk, I need to talk.
No.
No, she's like, yes, no, yes,
So,
no. Go ahead,
whatever
tell me.
has been aired, I think it's they've everything has come from the other groups, you know. So what I'm going to say is just adding to what has already been put forward. I think one important point we re-emphasize is local foods. I think it's time, like organic foods or natural, minimal chemical foods, local foods, branding and building those systems will give a lot of confidence to the local food producers that they can also enter other markets. So that's one. I even brought a live example how people have done. Integration of digital technologies.
Pass it around.
Okay. Integration, it's a startup produce who is, in India we have geographical indications for several local traditionally grown food commodities. The whole challenge was how do we take them to the market and tell and loudly clear that this is the produce. So blockchain technology used by this startup to identify from where it is also used. So if the institutions like Geographical Indication Registry uses these bundle of modern technologies in identifying traceability and authenticity of food produce, it will be a good use. So that's one we thought. The second, so which means data systems. You are all talking about so much. We have a huge data, but the startups and entrepreneurs face lack of data. The data exchange, the data policy, and the farmers, I can tell you, voice on privacy concerns. So when we could do it with the Aadhaar and all, we need to look at a different model which can, overcome this, which leads to new partnerships. And I think this is the best place where I can think all partnerships with the grower or farmer at the center stage.
Super, thank you. I will have to move on.
And then, okay.
Really?
Native seeds. A lot of people were talking about climate resilient. In all the countries like South America and Africa and even India, we have several varieties which are climate resilient but not highly productive. So we need to look at modern technologies to infuse that native character. And I am looking for a day when there is an entrepreneur, it's an open invitation, who can actually start looking at production of native seeds as a business opportunity.
That's a great call.
And one last, it was a very good suggestion, agriculturalization of Uber.
Agriculturalization of Uber. I love that. We don't have time to go into this idea, but we're going to discuss this and we'll see if we can try to harvest this idea. Maybe have a chat with my colleague over there and give him your Uberization of agriculture. Agriculturalization of Uber. Let's go, please. Let's go. Okay, one final voice. Yes, please try to make it short because... Thank you.
One of the key...
yeah, turn on your mic, please, so my colleague can really hear you.
Yeah, I think one of the key attributes what LiFE economy brings in for innovation is it broadens the scope of food system to be seen having a lifespan to seeing it as a life cycle. So, you see it as a system, and like what Dr. mentioned about newer partnership, unusual partnership rather, brings in newer innovations. So we had some examples, and again one was around the stubble burning and commercialization of it, where there are examples, in fact back home, we are using that to create toner powders in our cartridges.
Yeah.
Not just that, the post-consumption waste, how can we circularize it back? And we're doing that like the food waste oil, which goes in to create biopolymers and then back into our laptops. So these are certain examples which help us circularize and create a sustainable ecosystem around food systems.
Thank you for mentioning circular economy. I think it's a great way to finish. So please leave your papers, your notes on your tables. I'll collect them. Thank you so much for joining us in this session. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it was a good and joyful moment also for you. All the labs have the same format, so we always going to have a moment for you to break down, discuss, and then we can share. Hopefully the next ones won't be eaten by the plenary in terms of time, so we're going to have more time for discussions. But yes, please join the labs, engage, and you can access the harvesting with the QR code that we're going to share in the plenary. Thank you. Thank you.